So, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. I'm Saul Cervantes, Missionary First Class Saul Cervantes. I'll be commissioning this coming December, and I'm selected for student Naval Aviation.
Good morning, Midshipman First Class Mazzone. I'm the retired Master Chief currently. Be commissioning. I'm graduating with a degree in Computer Information Systems, Bachelor's of Science in May, and I have selected a student Naval Flight Officer.
Okay, to start us off with our first question, why did you join the unit? Go ahead, Cervantes.
Okay. So I wanted to join the unit because I wanted to become a naval officer. So initially I applied to the Naval Academy. Didn't get in. It wasn't too fun because I knew there's other ways to commission. My choices were either this or college for it. So I went to UMBC first because they gave me more money, and then I came to love the unit just because of the small numbers and just the camaraderie within it.
I mean, for me, it was, I always had an interest in the Navy, and I was trying to see what my options were to maybe commission instead of enlist. And so when I was pushed to, hey, why don't you look into colleges and stuff like that, it was, okay, let me go tour around and stuff like that. UMBC was in state, just had a new unit stand up, and I've loved it ever since.
All right, next question. What is something you wish you knew before you joined the unit here at UMBC?
So I actually thought about this question for some time, so I'm not really sure how to answer it. I don't think there's anything I wish I knew, but I find it really interesting that UMBC NROTC is just like largely led by midshipmen. I'm sure it's like that around the country, but I find it really interesting in how the culture shifts every semester on who the leadership is, and by leadership I mean midshipman leadership. And I think it's very empowering to the midshipmen as leaders to figure out how they're going to run this unit and how they're going to present the unit.
I think for me, some of the things that I wish I would have known before coming here is like, when you get your scholarship, you have to go through DODMERD, and little did I know that if you apply for the academy, they automatically put you through DODMERD, so you would have been medically qualified by the day you picked up scholarship. I wish I would have known about the multiple scholarship opportunities when I didn't pick up the 4-year scholarship. I was kind of bummed out, like, oh no, what am I going to do now? And there's 3-year, 2-year, so on and so forth. I think that's pretty much the extent.
So just to get into tips, do you have any for people or future midshipmen that want to join the unit in terms of easing that process to going from civilian to midshipman life?
All right, well, I think I just have some general advice is if you're willing to work hard and you have an open mind and you're willing to learn, then you will succeed in NROTC. And I think that's just with any other life experience. But if you're close-minded, if you believe that you already know a lot or you know everything, then you're gonna have a really hard time struggling, understanding that when you're a midshipman, you're just there to learn. You're trying to be a leader. So you need to be humble, you need to be open-minded, you need to be willing to learn.
Just to piggyback off of what he said, is just coming with an open mind, not assuming that you know everything because your family's in the military or you have a background in JROTC or anything like that. Come with an open mind because you will learn things. There's guaranteed something you will learn here. Another thing is like trying to secure your physical fitness early rather than later. It's much harder to play catch up when you're already here, where everybody's at this certain standard and you're now behind the power curve. If you show up ready to work out and ready to be competitive, I'd like to think that you're in better hands.
Yeah, I think I just want to add to that a little bit. I think what we've noticed in our past 4 years here as a midshipman is that when people come in, when 4th class come in, they can usually do the push-ups, they can usually do the setups, or at least they can pass it in time for the PRT. But when it comes to the run, they're really struggling. And I think that's just more common for the younger people nowadays, just because they're focused more on going to the gym, hitting the weights instead of running, when both are equally important in the Navy and in the military.
Okay, moving on to our next question. What is your most memorable experience in the unit?
And so for me, I have a few personally. Being that I was the drill officer for a long time and I've gone to all these drill competitions and military excellence competitions, I'd probably say that all of those trips we took, whether we were going and staying up in Cornell, where I think the opportunity that probably presented itself to be my favorite was when we went out to Tulane. We were in Louisiana, New Orleans for Mardi Gras. I think that was a very good time. It was February, we were wearing shorts and short sleeve and just enjoying the weather, taking in all the scenery and the craziness. So that was my personal favorite.
If I could boil it down to two experiences, because I have a couple, I'd probably boil it down to the leadership conference. I went to Notre Dame earlier this year, January, pre-COVID. It was a good time. I've never been to Notre Dame, never been to Indiana. Because it's always interesting to mesh with and talk with other people from other units and kind of see how their units run compared to ours. And just it's inspiring knowing that there's this many people who want to serve your country, who want to become officers. And then you talk stuff about like, hey, what are you trying to fly, and things like that. And my other experience was when we went to Mayport about 2 years ago for a field experience, FACS. That was in conjunction with College Park, and we had a good time. Did some tug exercises, but it's just there's so many opportunities in ROTC. If you apply and if you try to do as many experiences as you can, you'll learn a lot. So just the many available experiences that you can apply to and go to is one of my favorite things in ROTC.
Based off of your most memorable experiences from the unit, what appreciations do you have for the unit itself?
I think I talked briefly about this earlier, but we have a small number. We have about 40, 30. It changes every semester, but I really appreciate how our unit here, while it's a military institution, it feels also more like a family. While everyone's just looking out for each other. Sure, we're there to succeed physically, academically, morally, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, we all have each other's back. If someone needs help, someone's always willing to reach out. I think it's very different from when you have a big unit where everyone's just kind of like, yeah, you're a midshipman, but there's no real relationship between you and them.
I would like to piggyback off of that. It's like, the unit provides a lot of opportunities to grow yourself, whether it be professionally, physically, academically, anything of the like. And I think having these opportunities to travel and Cervantes said he'd never been to Indiana before. I had never been to Louisiana before. But, through ROTC we went out there for what was business, but I'm sure you guys enjoyed your time out there. And I think that being able to separate kind of coworkers and family and stuff like that is very important. And I think that that's something we do well here at the unit, is that we kind of have this family atmosphere where I know the first class we all hang out sometimes and stuff like that. So I truthfully think that it's a very large family.
So now that we covered what you appreciate in the unit, what is a useful resource provided through the unit that you don't see current midshipmen utilizing?
I feel, this is from my personal experience, I feel like underclassmen underutilize their upperclassmen. And what I mean by that is, I think most upperclassmen, all the first class, all the second class, they're very open to answer questions if they're asked. So I feel like there's a lot of, maybe they're scared, maybe they're nervous, I don't know. But I feel like there's a lot of questions that fourth class or third class have that can be answered if they just ask.
I like that answer a lot. I think into this sometimes is we've got a 4-year program, and there's a reason why we don't have 2 years of this leadership development and everything like that, and then tell people to get out of the program and finish their degree. So being that there is a 4-year program, and the upperclassmen, generally speaking, have those years of experience over the underclassmen and have had to do service selection, have gone through everything that the underclassmen are going through. I think that the whole seeking guidance and the whole informal mentorship thing is something that's very present, because there's nobody who's going to turn you away or deny helping you. But in the same regard, I feel like it's underused, the resources that we have.
Our next question is, what did you service select and why?
So I'm gonna start. I selected student naval aviation, aviator. And why? Just because I want to fly jets. Sure, I'm open to other platforms, but my mindset is going to flight school is that I'm gonna fly jets.
So I selected student Naval Flight Officer. Some of the reasons for that, one being I grew up in Southern Maryland, so NAS Patuxent River, where like Naval Test Pilot School is, every aircraft that gets tested in the Navy is. I grew up at school, you hear the F-18s roll over the school, and football practice, you'd see the helicopters coming by, and I fell in love with it. And my dad was in the Navy, he was an aviation machinist mate, he talked very highly on the aviation community, and obviously my favorite movie is Top Gun, so seeing all the cool interaction between, you know, pilots, NFOs, everything like that, it really drove me to do aviation.
For those who are unaware of the differences between flight aviation and flight officer, what are some specific differences you could give for that?
Yeah, that's a you.
So the difference between like student naval aviator and naval aviator and naval flight officer, I mean, there's some big and small differences here and there. So like for one, the aviator, he's the maverick. He's the one who's behind the yoke. He's controlling the plane, everything like that. And the naval flight officer is the goose. He's the guy. He's controlling weapons. He's controlling navigation systems. I know in P8s you are doing anti-submarine warfare. This giant 737. You're in the back, kind of hunting and trying to kill submarines, and I think that's really cool. So it's. I think that's all I have to say, actually.
So I guess in summary, the naval aviator do the boring stuff, they just fly, but the flight officer do the fun stuff, they control all the weapon systems and stuff like that. So
Our closing question is, what would you say to current and future midshipmen interested in aviation?
Well, I actually have like a 4-year plan for them, kind of 4-year plan. So freshmen, you need to start thinking about LASIK PRK. If you have eye issues, you definitely need to get LASIK or PRK. You're not going to become a naval aviator or a flight officer if your eyes are below 20/40. So that's a requirement. That's a must. Also, ask questions, stay motivated. That's all you can really do in your freshman year. Just learn followership and just learn how to be in the unit. Sophomore is join the aviation club. You know, so you can talk with your peers about current news and other current events. Start thinking about waiver issues. If you have anything that's disqualifying, you want to take care of that early. And start studying for the ACB, which is the test that all prospective SNA as NFOs take. And there's a minimum score that you have to pass. It's not too bad if you prepare for it. And junior fall is take ACB once. Just kind of see how you perform, because usually the first performance is not the strongest one. And then if you want to take it again, give it like a month or two of hard studying, then take the ACB once again in your spring semester. And hopefully that's your last one. Because if you get another one, then you're kind of in trouble, because that's your last one and that's going to be the one that they're going to look at. So if you do really poorly on your third one, that might be it for you for aviation. Senior year, then in the fall semester you find out what you're going to be designated as, so that's fun. It's always fun. You probably want to start swimming a lot. You need to be proficient in the water as an aviator or flight officer. This is something I haven't been able to do because of COVID. But in the springtime, when you're about to commission, is just keep your mind open about platforms. So like I said, I want to fly jets, but that's in reality, that's not what you want. Is very different from what the Navy needs. So if that year they only have helicopters available, you're not going to fly jets. So you just got to be open and can't be too attached to one plane.
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered all the ground here. So that's all I can say.
So that concludes our session, our first class session. Thank you, gentlemen, for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.